Dinosaur Land. This place is inhabited by many different types of dinosaurs, like dino rhinos, dino torches, and of course Yoshis. But how did this happen? Where did this land filled with dinosaurs come from, and why don't we see these dinosaurs in the Mushroom Kingdom? Well, I think I've found an answer to this. Dinosaur Land is a big land that is the setting of Super Mario World and is home to many species of animals. Yoshis live on Yoshi's Island and other parts of this land. This is also the land where they were first seen and originally came from. It contains a mountain, a forest, an underground valley and more. Bowser and the Koopa Troop took over Dinosaur Land and trapped the Yoshis in eggs. He then built a castle in the underground valley and took Princess Peach with him. Mario and Luigi eventually defeat Bowser and his army and restored Dinosaur Land to its previous state. In Super Mario World, Dinosaur Land is more or less devoid of culture and even people. Although it's known to be at least partially populated by Yoshis, who are known to be able to speak, but have not developed a distinctive established culture. Later, in the Yoshi series, Dinosaur Land is shown to have more intelligent inhabitants, because the Yoshis on at least Yoshi's Island build tree-like huts and live together in villages. These games, which give Dinosaur Land much more culture and limited politics, showed that much of the Yoshis trust in the main green Yoshi, and have great togetherness, being able to always depend on each other's help. So they become a real group and work together. Now if we compare Dinosaur Land to, for example, the Mushroom Kingdom, then we can see that certain species are not seen in the Mushroom Kingdom, which we do see in Dinosaur Land. This is strange since the climate and the two lands in general are very similar. And this is not the only weird thing. Dinosaur Land is also behind in almost everything, like housing, culture, technology and more. The Mushroom Kingdom is ahead of them. They have big cities, airplanes, cannons and way more. Take for example the huge castle of Princess Peach. It is surrounded by a moat, but it has a regular bridge instead of a drawbridge connecting it to the other side. A large stained glass window of Peach sits above the entrance, and 4 short towers are at the castle's 4 corners, with a much taller tower in the middle. We don't see anything similar to this built by the inhabitants of Dinosaur Land. But what could be the reason for this big difference in technology and species? Maybe something went wrong in the very beginning? Well, we have seen something similar in real life, and it could explain a lot. Like pieces in a giant jigsaw puzzle, continents have split, drifted and merged again many times throughout Earth's history. But what's the mechanism behind these moves? A new study now offers evidence that continents sometimes break along pre-existing lines of weaknesses, created when small chunks of land attach to larger continents. So the Mushroom Kingdom and Dinosaur Land were probably connected to each other once, but they eventually drifted apart. But what causes this and what would be the effects? Well, the level-sphere, which is the rigid outermost shell of a planet, in other words the crust, is broken up into tectonic plates. The Earth's crust is composed of 7 or 8 major plates and many minor plates. Plate tectonics is a scientific theory that describes the large-scale motion of the Earth's crust. So basically these plates are moving around and shifting constantly. This is thanks to heat from the Earth's core. This builds on the concept of continental drift, which was developed during the first few decades of the 20th century. In the beginning, the world was one big piece of land, and after millions of years, they started to drift apart. So these plates allow continents like Africa and Europe to drift apart or closer to each other. This would explain why Dinosaur Land is not connected to the Mushroom Kingdom. It probably drifted away because of the plate tectonic effect. So this would mean that certain species can't crossbreed with each other. Or that a certain species died out in the Mushroom Kingdom, but not on Dinosaur Island. This would also go for any other technology or advancements, they just wouldn't happen. A good example of this is Australia. Australia consists of a huge variety of animals. A lot of them are only found there on Australia and nowhere else. The high level of native wildlife can be attributed to the continent's long geographic isolation, tectonic plate stability, and the effects of an unusual pattern of climate change. Australia was once part of the southern supercontinent Gondwana, which also included South America, Africa, and more. It eventually drifted away and became isolated. Thanks to this, all the species that lived on Australia evolved on their own. Both geologic and climatic events helped to make Australia's wildlife and plants unique. We also see this with Dinosaur Land. There are certain species of dinosaur that are only seen in that specific place. Animals like Blarg, Dino Rhino, Dino Torch, Erie and Rex. Now this is because of isolation. The dinosaurs that lived in the Mushroom Kingdom probably went extinct, maybe because of a disease or a lack of food. Now the people who lived in Australia were not as advanced as the Europeans when they arrived in 1788. Now this all changed as soon as the Europeans had arrived. The country started to develop way faster. Can you see the pattern here? This also happened to Yoshi's Island. Before the invasion of Bowser, the Yoshis were very primitive. That's because they missed out on all the advancements that the people of the Mushroom Kingdom and the other kingdoms made. But as soon as Bowser arrived with Peach and shortly after left, they started to develop way faster. We can see this in the later games where the Yoshis have built tree houses, villages and lived together. The Yoshis probably learned a thing or two from the Koopas and from the Toads as soon as they arrived on the island. It would also make sense for Princess Peach to become allies with the Yoshis after they saved her together with Mario. This also helped their development. Strangely enough, these improvements didn't happen when the Yoshis saved Mario as a baby. But this is probably because they gave baby Mario to the bird, so they never came into touch with the humans or any other people. After the events of Super Mario World, the Yoshis also started to move to other islands and other places. So after all, the invasion of Bowser also had some positive effects, because it helped the development of the Yoshis as a species, and they started to explore the world. Everything is constantly moving, changing, going, and that's how the world evolves. Great that you watched this video. Don't forget to check out my other stuff, and why not subscribe? Then you won't miss a thing.